Hey guys, it's Will here and I'm down at 40k Gaming for another battle report. Tonight, as you can see behind me, Adam is setting up his Tyranids. So we're going Tyranids against the Biel Tan Eldar. It's going to be my first time facing Tyranids properly under the new codex. I did have that quick game, the Tale of Four Gamers, but this will be my first time facing them one-on-one with the codex rules. Going to be the same Biel Tan World list as I ran against Sam last week and got owned, but hopefully going to get some better results this time. As for Adam's army, he's running Hive Fleet Jormungandr. So I'm going to do a Maelstrome mission, and we've rolled up recon, so we're going to have to split our forces into 3 parts and then roll randomly to decide which one comes on, and then everything else ends up in reserves. Anyway, without further ado, let's take a look at those armies. So here's the Eldar army, basically the same list as my last battle rep against Sam. So starting off, we've got a battalion down here led by my Farseer on a jet bike with a singing spear, and then I've got his little buddy the Warlock. Then for troops, 3 units of Dire Avengers, 1 of 10. Exarch's got a shimmer shield and the power weapon there. And then that should be 2 5-man squads, although it actually looks like a 5 and a 4, so I'll have to get another one out. But the Exarchs there are packing the dual weapon, which I think, Dual Avenger Shuriken Catapult, which I think is the best build, and I've just got some more of them for Christmas, so can convert up some more Exarchs there. Then for elites, I've got my Wraith Guard with the Wraith Cannons, Fire Dragons with an Exarch, and 9 striking Scorpions with an Exarch with Scorpion Claw. Backing them up for heavy supports, I've got my Dark Reapers and my Falcon, and then transports of 2 Wave Serpents, one with all Shuriken Cannons and one with underslung Shuriken Cannon and turret Bright Lances. Then I've got a second detachment, a Vanguard detachment, and there we've got a Spirit Seer leading that. Then 2 units of Warp Spiders, just 5 in each with an Exarch, and 2 units of 4 jet bikes with the underslung Shuriken Cannons to make the most of the Biel Tan World benefits there. So that's 2,000 points, 2 detachments, 7 command points. So I've split my force up into these 3 parts. So we got this one with the big Avenger squad, the Falcon, Fire Dragons, Warlock and Warp Spiders. Next one is the Wave Serpent with the 2 Avenger squads, plus the Jetbike unit, Farseer and Reapers, and then the third lot with the Scorpions, Warp Spiders, Wraith Guard, Spirit Seer and Jetbikes. And when I rolled up, it's going to be this force that deploys first. So it should be interesting to see how such a small starting force can work against a mass of bugs. As for psychic powers, I've got Quicken Restrain on my Warlock, Spirit Seer, which will be good to slow down the Tyranids' initial advance, hopefully. Conceal Reveal on my Warlock, which is going to be vital against Hive Fleet Jormungandr. I think going to need to crack those cover saves, not cover saves, cover save modifiers. And then, yeah, my Farseer is running Doom and Guide because they are by far the best 2 powers in there. Yeah, let's see what Adam's got. So here's Adam's force. He's already divided it into the 3 sections he needs. So starting up here, we have a small unit of basic termagants and some hormagaunts, rippers, Trigon and a Flyrant. Now he's got the relic venom cannon, so that's going to be quite nasty. I faced that a few weeks ago against I think it was Adam, might have been Sam. Someone used it on me and it was nasty. Then we've got the second group. We've got more rippers, a big unit of termagants with loads of devourers in there, as well as a few flesh boars. Trigon Prime, the very nicely converted one. He's got his I want to say Exocrine, yep, Exocrine, and a Neurothrop. And then finishing it off, the third group has another small unit of termagants, Old One-Eye, 2 Carnifexes, Swarm Lord, and a Tyrannocyte. So it seems like power's fairly evenly distributed here, and he's actually running this in 2 detachments because he's got 4 HQs and 6 troops, so why not gain the 9 command points for that. So just going to roll to see what Adam gets. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's a 5, so we've got the Carnifexes and Swarmlords starting us off. Nice. Alrighty then, let's get to deployment. So we rolled up the Spearhead Assault deployment, and with only a very small number of forces deploying on the board, it's looking very sparse. Basically, Adam's gone right up the centre with his Termagants sitting slightly on the back objective, and this Spearhead of Old One Eye and 2 Carnifexes right in front. Swarmlord is in his Tyrannocyte in reserves. I've got my Wraithguard down here with their Spirit Seer in my Wave Serpent, trying to hold back and get off some long-range shots before the worst of the Tyranid force threatens me, but I'm well aware of the danger posed by the deep striking of the Swarmlord. And my jet bikes over here, because they're manoeuvrable enough that they can get to where they need to go when they need to be there. Warp Spiders and Striking Scorpions both deploying in reserves because of their abilities. So yeah, without further ado, let's roll to see who gets the first turn. Adam, you want to roll? So I got a... oh, that's reflecting bad. That's a 4. And Adam just needs to find a dice. That's a 4 as well, but with his +1 for finishing first, it's Tyranid, turn 1. So although the forces start small, they grow very quickly with 3+ from the first turn onwards to get units on. So Tyrannocyte came down here, and Swarmlord got out, Flyrant appeared here, and the Trigon burrowed up, surrounded by his Termagant friends. All 3 Carnifexes pushed up towards the centre of the board, and the Exocrine came on, accompanied by some Termagants. He also had a unit of Rippers burrow up in here. So quite a lot of bugs to deal with right from the get-go. In terms of psychic abilities, he got off Catalyst on his Swarmlord, and also smited, paroxysmed, and horrored the Wave Serpent. He definitely wanted that Wave Serpent dead. Objectives wise, he had Defend 2, which will take him a turn to do. Assassinate, which was going to be tough, and Advance, which was going to be impossible with units appearing in his deployment zone. But yeah, shooting phase, a Hive Tyrant, the Tyrannocyte and the Exocrine all targeted the Wave Serpent, did a total of 10 wounds to it. A few Devourer Termagants also went for it but failed to do any damage, and the rest of the brood killed off 2 of the jet bikes. They passed the leadership test, although I initially actually went and rolled 2 dice for that, thinking I was playing 7th edition for a minute there, but they survived. And then it was up to Swarmlord. Obviously used his ability to make a double move, to get within 1 inch of the Wave Serpent, and then yeah, charged the Wave Serpent and smashed it to pieces. Nothing I could do about that, but it didn't explode, and all my guys got out without incident. So although he's got first blood and taken out my Wave Serpent, and I am being swarmed by bugs, I've got my Wraithguard looking for vengeance. Now, there's a little interesting backstory here. Last time I played Adam, these guys used the Webway Strike stratagem to sneak up behind Swarmlord on turn 1 and punk him in the backside, getting me slay the Warlord on first turn. Now, this won't be happening today because Swarmlord is tougher and he's out for vengeance, but he could end up coming up against the Wraithguard again. But anyway, without further ado, let's take a look at Eldar turn 1. So a thoroughly successful round of dice rolling there, left only my Farseer and my Warp Spiders in reserves, or 1 unit of my Warp Spiders in reserves, and everything else available to come on. Realised I couldn't disembark though, because they deploy at the end of the movement phase, so a couple of the units are still going to be hiding out in their transports. But the Wraithguard were destined to be the stars. The Spirit Seer originally tried to do Restrain on the Hive Tyrant, but Shadow in the Warp prevented that. But when they did fire, they managed to put initially 13 wounds on the Swarmlord. Unfortunately, he had Catalyst up, which saved 5 of them, leaving him with 4 wounds remaining. It then took the combined firepower from the newly arrived Jetbike unit, the newly arrived Dark Reaper unit, and my Falcon to bring him down, and it was only the Dark Reapers with the last shooting dice of the turn that finally finished off Swarmlord. He was a tough nut to crack, but he is destroyed. over here, the Dire Avengers that were on foot walked on and fired at these guys, along with the Wave Serpent. But because those termagants are Jormungandr, they count as in cover, and actually 5+ has served him quite well there. Nowhere near as many casualties as I'd have liked, and no leadership test thanks to Synapse, because that's a Trigon Prime. Striking Scorpions appeared in the back lines here, and 9 inches out. Used Court of the Young King to get my extra charge movement and rerolls, because I really needed that charge. That was because I had combined strikes and needed to kill something in the assault phase, as well as something in the shooting phase to get some decent points. Also had Hold the Line and Domination, which weren't about to happen. It was too many NIDs on the board for that right now. But the Scorpions got in and absolutely butchered the Termagants for no casualties. And over here, the Warp Spiders popped down next to these Rippers. Now he's got Defend Objective 2, so I want to fight them off there. So I also used the jet bikes. Managed to kill all bar one Ripper Swarm, but then the jet bikes charge failed to wipe it out. Now he would have failed his morale check there because he's well out of Synapse and their Rippers, but he used 2 command points to keep him safe, grabbing him 2 victory points for Defend 2, so that was a good ploy there. So yeah, things aren't too bad, but there are a couple of very nasty large bugs, way too close for my liking. But let's see what they can do as we head into the second Tyranid turn. So things looked really promising for the Nids at the start of this turn. He drew Domination and realised he had enough units to do it. Also had Secure Objective 1 and was still holding on to Assassinate. He brought on the rest of his reserves, so the second Trigon with the Jormungandrs came up here, and then he had another Ripper Swarm come down here to help him with his urge for domination, and the Neurothrop coming on the back there. Really played very aggressive, moved the Hive Tyrant up into charge range on the Wraith Guard, moved Termagants forward to grab objectives, and Carnifexes to threaten key units and grab him objective 1. So that was a 1 score. He even played aggressively with the Tyrannocyte, which, as you can see, made it into combat with my Dark Reapers, although wasn't able to do anything. For shooting, both the Flyrant and the Exocrine targeted the Wraith Guard and killed 4 of them in total. That was a serious amount of firepower there. That miasma cannon upgrade on that is really handy. Rest of his shooting was generally less effective, apart from the Termagants, who used a couple of command points to allow them to fire twice at my Dire Avengers. And as you can see, there are no more Dire Avengers. That many Devourers is not something you get up from, especially if you're only Dire Avengers. And then he pulled off multiple charges in the assault phase. So yeah, the Tyrannocyte got into the Reapers but didn't do anything. The Hive Tyrant got into these guys and had a really bad roll of dice. In the end, only put 2 wounds on the Spirit Seer and no damage on the Wraith Guard. All of the casualties there were with shooting. Things went a little bit better over here for the Trigon, which put Trigon, which put 3 wounds onto my Falcon, but did suffer 1 in return. Over here, Carnifex wiped out my surviving jet bikes, and over here, this Carnifex, is that One Eye? Yeah, that's old One Eye, got into the Striking Scorpions and killed 5 of them for only 1 wound in return. Now, that was kind of where things started to stall. A lot of okay assaults, but nothing that was completely destroying apart from down here. He really wanted to wipe those Scorpions out to claim that objective and get domination, but it just wasn't quite enough, and the Scorpions, thanks in part to a good dice roll and in part to Biel Tan leadership boost, stuck around. So yeah, he didn't quite get domination, and the Spirit Seer passing some of his rune armor saves cost him Assassinate. So just the 1 point that turn, but yeah, I'm really getting overwhelmed here. But it's now time for some Eldar trickery to get us out of this tight spot. So turn 2, the rest of my reserves come on, and the units that arrived last turn can disembark from their transports. So a few little tricks this turn. So with this Hive Tyrant in my deployment zone, I needed to get him out of combat, and also need to get my Reapers out of combat. Reapers out of combat was 2 command points for a feigned retreat, so we stepped back and ran up the building, getting us out of combat and ready to fire. And the Wraithguard was able to step out of combat for free with no penalty, and I stepped back my Spirit Seer as well. But then when he attempted to smite the Hive Tyrant, he perilled, he killed himself. That did deny Adam Assassinate, so almost a good thing, maybe, possibly. Wraithguard then fired at the Hive Tyrant and failed to do anything of significance to him, and I'd pulled across, or Deep Striked in this Warp Spider unit as well to help do some damage there. Over here, the Farseer came on, and I got my Fire Dragons and 2 units of Dire Avengers out, and my Warp Spiders jumped across from over here. Farseer doomed the Trigon and guided the Falcon, which had pulled back after the Fire Dragons had got out, and he also used his Warlord trait to buff the to hit, or to give rerolls to hit to the Fire Dragons. They were able to wreck the Trigon with no help needed. That was just destroyed, and then the 2 Avenger units and the Warp Spiders wiped out or killed the vast majority of the Termagants, but he had a few left, but they failed their leadership because there's no synapse around here. It was the Dark Reapers that really did the job on the Hive Tyrant. Warp Spiders helped a little bit, but the straight 3 damage from them is just, they're great. I love my Dark Reapers. Probably want to get some more of them at some point. Almost wiped out, left it on just a few wounds, and then the Falcon finished it off, thanks to Guide. So yeah, that's that gone. I had Hold the Line and wanted to clear this Tyrannocyte out, but didn't have quite enough firepower left from the Wave Serpent. Was about the only thing left to fire. Did leave it on only 5 wounds, but it's not enough to clear it out. So this turn, all I scored was Big Game Hunter for the Hive Tyrant and the Trigon. I also had Hold the Line and Behind Enemy Lines. Behind Enemy Lines was a possibility if my Scorpions could have held. I thought, yeah, that might just last 1 round in combat with one eye. He's only got 4 attacks. Nope, they all hit, they all wounded, they all do 3 damage a time, and bye-bye Scorpions. So I'm actually going to discard that. Going to discard Hold the Line, because that's going to be harder with all these Tyranid units swarming, whereas I might get a cheeky Behind Enemy Lines later on. So just the 2 points this turn, Big Game Hunter and Slay the Warlord. Right, on to Tyranids, turn 3. So Adam was still holding domination this turn, and oh boy was he set on doing it. So really like aggressive objective grabbing, pushed the Termagants up to there. They had a little shot at the jet bikes but didn't do a lot. Old One Eye hang around there. He's got Rippers in that building and down here, and another Carnifex hanging around there, and Jormungandr there. So that's domination and 6 points, and a fair amount of destruction as well. The Tyrannocyte shot for the Wraithguard and killed the last one of them, so that got him overwhelming firepower, so a really good scoring turn. Exocrine went for the Dark Reapers and killed all bar the Exarch, and he only survived thanks to the cover save, or the save bonus from the cover. Trigon killed 2 of the Dire Avengers with shooting before charging them, and then once he got into the fight killed another 1 and did a wound to the Farseer. He actually had a really bad turn of combat. He used 2 command points to get a whole extra round of attacks and still couldn't do more than 1 wound to the Farseer and kill 1 Avenger. It was such bad luck. My Rune Armor helped a bit, and I am Phoenix Gem, so he will probably not care even if he does die, but yeah, that should have got him Assassinate, but alas, 'twas not to be. Carnifex came down here and took 6 wounds on Overwatch, both Pulse Laser shots getting a 6 to hit and doing a wound. But then he did take 10 wounds off my Falcon, leaving it on just 2. So that weren't too bad. So in the end, he got a few units reduced, but nothing really properly wiped out apart from the Wraithguard. But 6 points for Overwatch. Rolled a 6 for the Overwatch. Sorry, 6 points for domination. Really good, good score there. And with the extra point for overwhelming firepower, puts him in a commanding lead as we head into the third Eldar turn. So this turn I had secure objective 4. In addition, I had hold the line and assassinate. So assassinate was originally looking like great. Old One Eye's only on 4 wounds. But I can't target him because he's a character, so that wasn't going to happen. So I focused on getting objective 4, which I could do. Warp Spiders moved up, shot most of the Jormungands off there, and then charged in, wiping them out in combat. So that was nice and simple. But the bigger matter was this Trigon in my deployment zone. Farseer and the Dire Avengers pulled back out of combat so that other units could target him. And I fired at him with the Falcon, the Dire Avengers, and the Farseer. He was doomed, and because of that, and the Farseer guiding the Falcon. No, the Farseer used his ability on the Falcon. He'd smited the Carnifex that was here to get rid of that because it only had like 2 wounds left. So Smite did that, and then this was doomed. I got it down to a single wound. I thought, okay, we can do this. Charged my Dire Avengers. It was doomed. I had 6 attacks, 3s to hit, re-rolling to wound. Did 2 wounds to it. He passed both his saves and then wiped out all bar the Exarch. So they do need a morale check. They're fine. Yeah, that was not nice to lose that squad. And just a pain to have him there. I thought I could have killed him. Other than that, I pulled back my Fire Dragons, so Gribbly McTentacleface couldn't do anything to me because they weren't likely to do anything to him. My Exarch from the Dark Reapers also contributed to the attempted death of the Trigon. Warp Spiders came up here and wiped out all bar that one Termagant and failed their charge. And the Jet Bikes were hoping to target the Neurothrop. Then I was reminded he's a character as well, and this one Termagant was preventing them shooting him. So I killed a Ripper instead and put a couple of wounds onto the Exocrine, or 1 wound onto the Exocrine. So yeah, not the turn I'd hoped for. Could have been quite happy to see both of these gone, but hey, that's the way it is. We go into the Tyranid 4th turn with the Eldar still a bit behind. So turn 4, and the Tyranid's objectives were Supremacy, Decapitate and Blood and Guts. All things he was in a position to have a good crack at. So 2 Carnifexes surged down here, 1 eye into the Wave Serpent and this one into the Warp Spiders. Other than that, he pushed up the Neurothrop and attempted to make a charge with the Tyrannocyte. Neurothrop managed to kill 1 Warp Spider with a Smite. No, he didn't. He killed 3 Warp Spiders with the Smite. And then the Exocrine killed 2 Jet Bikes and failed to hurt the Warp Spiders, shooting both of those units. That Exocrine was a bit unlucky when it shot for the Warp Spiders, but 2 dead Jet Bikes does mean I need a leadership test for them. They're fine. And 1 for the Warp Spiders. They're fine as well because of being pretty good leadership. Both Carnifexes pulled off the charge with no problems. As you can see here, there is just a single Warp Spider left in that combat, and the Wave Serpent just has 1 wound, so that was pretty nasty. But the Tyrannocyte actually failed its charge. It would have made it, except it took a fusion gun to the face. And so bye-bye Tyrannocyte. That's a nice kill for the dragons. And with the Trigon wiping out the last Dire Avenger that was in combat with, they're about to get another big monster kill next turn, I think. So yeah, not terrible, but he did get Blood and Guts for the death there, and also Supremacy because he's holding plenty of objectives. So that pushes the Tyranids up to 12 points now. I'm only on about 4 or 5, but you know, we could still come back from this. Eldar, turn 4. Not bad objectives this turn. Assassinate, Master the Runes and secure 3. 3 was only being guarded by the Ripper swarms, so I jumped both my warp spider units there to deal with them, and as you can see, they made it into combat with the last wounded Ripper. Didn't quite kill him, but it was enough to secure me objective 3 for the point. Down here was really where the action was at, though. We went on a bit of a bug hunt, so my Farseer and Warlock lined up to face off against the Trigon, and my Fire Dragons pushed up to where that Carnifex was. Both tanks backed off from Old One Eye. Farseer used his Warlord trait to give the Falcon rerolls to hit, also cast Guide on the Fire Dragons, and doomed Old One Eye. Fire Dragons fired first. Nope, the Warlock went first with its Destructor, the reduced version of Smite, but that was enough to finish off the Trigon because it only had a wound left. That got me Master the Runes for D3, which is just the 1 point, but we'll take it. That's not bad. Fire Dragons then had no trouble taking down the Carnifex, despite him being in cover. Guided Fire Dragons just unstoppable against a target like that at close range. And the Falcon got a bit lucky with its to-hit rolls, but it was enough to take down Old One Eye, so that gets me Assassinate. And so that was all 3 objectives scored this turn. Other than that, the Wave Serpent shot for the Rippers in that building, but didn't do anything. They got a bit lucky with their saves. And over here, my jet bikes put a couple of wounds on the Neurothrop with shooting before charging into the Termagant there and failing to do anything, but that's fine, you know, at least there's a bit of tying up there. So we are pushing back now. That's a nice scoring turn, but could have done with Master of the Runes being worth a little bit more, and Adam still has the lead as we head into the 5th turn. So although he was in the lead, Adam was running out of options this turn. He pulled this Ripper back to keep him alive, and moved the Neurothrop in position to kind of not be the closest thing to anything, and have a smite at the jet bikes. Only did a single wound. Exocrine was the star of the turn, taking out the Dire Avengers, although it was just the Exarch left, and all bar the Exarch from the Fire Dragons, which can make it very difficult for me to deal with what he's got. There's not much left, it's a long way away and fairly tough. Points wise, that got him just the 1 point for overwhelming firepower, or no prisoners I think it was, but effect was the same, and he discarded the Tyranid specific one, Dominate, because he hasn't got enough Psychers. Still holding Decapitate if he can somehow find a way to kill my Farseer or Warlock. Here we go into the 5th and potentially final Eldar turn. So this turn I wanted to secure 6, defend 2 and 5. 2 was fairly straightforward, moved the Wave Serpent up to actually get on it, and the Farseer came up just to blow off the Ripper Swarm, but I need to sit on that for a turn because it's a defend. Over here, the Falcon, which was guided, moved forward, and the Dire Avengers and Warlock and Fire Dragon all got in there because they've got a bit of a ride ahead of them. And the Warp Spiders both jumped fairly long ranges as well. He didn't quite make it to number 5, which is behind those ruins, but these guys did get in on 6 and killed the Termagant there. The jet bikes that had been in combat with the Termagant bugged out, put a couple of wounds on the Neurothrop and then charged it. The Exocrine is still undamaged practically though, so yeah, we're going to need to round up those points. Only got secure 6 this turn, but I'm in good positions to grab both of these defends in upcoming turns, but I will lose the game if the game ends now. Adam, do you want to roll the dice? It's a 5, game carries on. Here we go with turn 6. So, Psychological Warfare, Kingslayer, and Decapitate. Not easy objectives for the Tyranids to score this turn. His one real hope was to try and make something fail a leadership test, because he had nothing that could threaten my Farseer, who was the only character not hiding in a transport. So, yeah, with his remaining forces, the Exocrine was really the one with the threat. He did manage to kill one Warp Spider from that squad, but it wasn't enough to force a leadership check, and he killed the last guy there. So yeah, things are not going too well. He even had a desperation charge, the Exocrine, into the jet bikes. Didn't do anything, and jet bikes almost did a wound back to him. But other than that, really not a very eventful turn. But he's still winning. He's got 12 regular points plus Slay the War, plus Kingslayer. No, First Blood. Whereas I'm only on 8 points plus Slay the Warlord. So yeah, still a Tyranid lead at the moment. But I have just grabbed another 2 points for Secure Objective 2, Defend Objective 2. So here we go into the 6th Eldar turn. So advance and no prisoners, that's a couple of objectives I can do. Needed to actually run the Falcon, or well, advance as it's called, to get it out of the deployment zone, which meant I couldn't shoot the Exocrine this turn, and also advance the Wave Serpent because it was going to be out of range. Farseer came up with him. Jumped back this Warp Spider to finish off the last Ripper, which got me no prisoners, because that's how easy no prisoners can be when there's wounded Rippers on the table. And the jet bikes tried to finish off the Neurothreat but failed to wound it with either shooting or charging it. So yeah, that's another couple of points. Game is certainly tightening up, but is it about to end? That's a 1. Game over. Thanks for a good game, mate. Let's have a quick count up of the scores. Right, we've just counted up the scores and it could not have been closer. 13 points in the end to the Eldar, 14 to the Tyranids. Lost it by a point, but hey, that was a really fun game actually, and nice and close. Nice to see the Eldar being able to hold their own. Anyway, join us in a minute for the post game. So after a really dominating start for the Tyranids there, the Eldar almost pulled it back, but not quite. In the end, Tyranids snuck it by a point. What did you reckon there?
Really close game, very well balanced to be honest. It was almost a draw if Will had done stuff a bit differently.
Yeah, so if I'd pushed my jet bikes into his deployment zone on the last turn, I'd have had Linebreaker and that would have been a draw. But yeah, mission was very different to anything I've played in.
Yeah, it was well, nothing quite like it. You'd never get it that set up in another mission, and it was surprising. I thought it was actually going to be a bit one-sided to start with, because whoever gets first turn has quite an advantage, but
yeah,
evidently not.
I was kind of thinking that maybe the fact that his force had a long way to go might give me the advantage, but Tyranids are just too quick for that. So many alternate deployment methods, that was never going to be an issue, and I was basically playing the whole game on my baseline for most of the night.
It didn't really feel like we had table size though. There was just units everywhere kind of doing their own thing. There was no my side versus yours so much.
Yeah, there's a fair few units with very atypical movement there that meant that. And as for the Eldar army, well, certainly a better performance than when I faced Sam last week. Possibly thinking I might need to be a bit more focused with my lists though. I mean, this is what I've got at the moment, but I think maybe dropping the Scorpions, they've not really added much value to the list. And trying to get a bit more focus in a few more aspects. What about your Nids? What do you reckon? They're doing good? You liking them?
I'm quite pleased overall, to be honest. They're doing really well. The one thing I have found is you either need a lot of Carnifexes or none, because if not they get shot off too easily. But the Trigons, I'm now running 2, which seems a lot better, because then they're not as easy to counter and the charges are more reliable. You're going to get at least 1 in.
Yeah.
Although they did whiff a bit with the dice rolls today.
Yeah, you had a few bad dice rolls. I think we both had a good up and down fluctuation of luck. As for man of the match, that Exocrine.
Yeah, that was just amazing. It was regularly taken either 1 or 2 units off the table, each shooting phase, and it just sat at the back, almost unkillable with toughness 8 when it's that far away. So.
Yeah, definitely. I was a nightmare deal with that. Anyway, thanks a lot for the game, mate. It was good fun.
Yeah, really
and you guys, thanks a lot for watching. I'll see you again soon. Bye.
See you later.